All right, so let me read why we're doing what we're doing quickly. And this is just a very brief one-verse review. Well, I can quote it. 1 Peter 3:15. Why do we do apologetics? The Bible says, sanctify the Lord God in your heart and be ready always to give a reason for the hope that is within you. So in other words, with meekness and fear. In other words, with respect. So again, we're doing apologetics because the Bible commands us to understand what we believe to the point to where we can defend it. And not defend it in an angry way to where we want to beat somebody up for disagreeing with us. We're seeing a lot of that in politics. And it's funny how, oh man, here I go. It's funny how the ones since I've graduated high school for 20 years have been crying tolerance. Now that when they're getting pushed back on a little bit, they're the most intolerant of all groups. So we want to learn apologetics so that we can intelligently explain what we believe and why we believe it. So what I've done, as I warned you last week, I have looked up some questions from atheists. And I'll be honest with you, a few years ago, and some of them even now, one of them was a quote from Mark Twain, which is really, it's really deep and it's troubling actually, because he brings up some good points. And it's a small point where he questions God. And he actually brings up some good points. I think he's wrong, but I think they're good, potentially. But a few years ago, this would have scared me absolutely to death. So I looked up like top 10 questions atheists ask Christians. And things like that. And I've got quite a few here. And I want to read some off. And what I really like to do is be the bad dude. Be the non-believer. Bad guy. Be the non-believer asking believers these questions. And so Dwayne has brought up 2 chairs. If anybody is brave enough to come up here, or I can ask them from here to you as if I'm an atheist standing before a group, maybe a family dinner at Thanksgiving, and I have on it, I'm really wanting to know answers about God that trouble me. Because me as a believer, as a pastor, I still have questions about God. A lot of them. Most of them minor, some of them very difficult that I don't have answers to. So you say, well, are you going to walk away from God? Well, I don't think so. Because there's enough over here that does have answers to make me look back to this side that doesn't have an answer and say, even though I don't understand that yet, there's enough over here that I do understand, and it's enough to follow.
What always comforts me with that is that do we really want to worship a God that we can understand everything He says and everything He does anyway? Because then He wouldn't be much more different than us, you know? I like the fact that His ways are not our ways, His thoughts are not our thoughts. That frustrates me. A lot of times, in reality, that the fact that we can't fathom everything is, to me, shows He's God and I'm not.
Oh, it does, and I'm glad. I don't understand. I'm going to get my watch back because I'm going to go over if I'm not careful. I am glad of that, but my brain still looks at stuff and I say, why? I'm going to say that everything. I've said that my whole life. Why?
Me too.
You know, why is the sky blue? There's a scientific reason.
Chuck can just go because.
Well, now?
Chuck tends to go just because that's what the Bible says, and I go, but why?
Always. I'll beat my head against the wall with that. And it's a personality difference. There's some people that, hey, look, this is what it says. Right. Let's just do it. And I'm thinking, if you'll explain to me why you're asking me to do this job, I will do the job better if I understand the job. So when I first graduated and worked for people, I got in trouble some because I would, hey, go over there and do that. You know, well, why are we doing it that way? And, you're hired from the neck down. Just go do it, was the answer.
Well, I know that atheists think, why does a good God allow really bad things? But that's something that Christians, that's a hang up for me too. Because I see things that are so horrific that I think, how does a good God stand it? Where were you when that was happening? So
well, that's one of the questions. And I have quite a few, and I've highlighted some that I want to do first. Yeah.
What kind of questions are we going to ask?
Oh no, these questions? A lot of them are pretty basic. I'll give you one, and it's kind of funny. But these are all, I think every one of them, they by and large came off of atheist websites And their attitude, it was basically, if I had a Christian in front of me, doggone it, this is what I'd ask him. So I thought, well, cool. I'll just take those and I'll ask these people as an atheist. So, and now remember, what is every worldview? What is a worldview? The way you view the world. What is every worldview? What 4 questions does it need to answer? Because they all have to answer questions. If you say I'm an atheist, I'll say fine, but you have questions to answer. I'm not the only one that has questions to answer. So what are the 4 questions that a coherent worldview needs to answer? Yeah. Morality, destiny. Exactly. So point number 1, quickly, and this might take a couple weeks. When I ask the question, I want you in your mind, because you need to categorize these things. Ask yourself in your mind which one of those 4 subheadings this goes under. So I ask a question, I want you to say, is that origin, meaning, morality, or destiny? Which one is that? Does that make sense? Oh, this is hard. It's mentally strenuous. That's why I go home on Wednesday, and I mean, honestly, it's just like, even my body, if it rained, like today, it was cloudy and I didn't work outside, so my body feels pretty good. My brain will just, it's like, oh, I'm done, All right, so, if God told you to kill an atheist, would you do it? This is one of the questions.
So maybe this one is no.
Yes. Yes, these are all questions, almost every one of them from atheist websites. So does anybody want to come up and we'll have a little chit-chat?
But
Because
if
it'd be a lot more
they don't
fun.
care what the Bible says, then just the simple commands of God isn't going to mean anything to them, because they don't care.
But they're asking, like, I would become a Christian if you can answer these questions. And one of them is, if God told you to kill me, would you do
Well,
it?
if God told you to.
Yeah, if God told you to kill an atheist, would you do it?
Well, I mean, we would have to.
Oh, wait. First of all, what heading is this under? Morality. Okay, good. All right, we're dealing with morality. Okay. What was your question?
It wasn't a question, I was just saying, I would have to try to get the point across that I believe God's word, every word in it, and he would never contradict himself,
Right.
ever.
Right. So it's a rhetorical question. It doesn't have, God is not going to tell me to kill you. So you can't ask a question that goes against the nature of God. He's not going to go against his own nature. Okay, so that's what I put.
How do you get to the next level, though, when you're referring back to the Bible and they don't believe the Bible?
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet, but we're going to get into the reliability of the Bible. And they'll look at you and say, oh, it's just a stupid book, and it's old, and it's a bunch of fables.
And then when you say, well, what about the Old Testament where like people were
Yeah.
slaughtered like by the bajillions because
Yeah.
they were evil people, and that was God's
Yeah.
nature.
There's a book I'm going to buy that's called, Did God Really Command Genocide? And I've got to read it before we get to that point. I've got to get ahead of y'all. I've got a lot of reading to do. And then one of y'all gave me 5 A.W. Tozer books. Thank you so much. I've got to read that too. So there's a lot of reading that has to be done in the next few months.
I would ask this person, do you think it's wrong?
That's where I'm going. That's what I've got.
But you got to ask them a question.
If-
Depend on you.
So I'm asking Greg, I'm going to ask you, if I'm an atheist, if God told you to kill me, would you do it? I know what my response is.
Do you think it's wrong about this?
Yes. Yes, I think it's wrong for you to kill me.
Where do you get the basis for that?
Because it isn't good for me.
What's your moral argument?
Exactly,
What do you
right.
think
How do
your
you
answer
know
is
that that's?
right?
Why is it wrong? Yeah.
Why is it wrong?
Because it doesn't benefit me, and I set my own standard for right and wrong. I'm an individual relativist.
So what if it didn't keep you?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Well, good for the goose is good.
Right, did y'all hear that? It's very simple. If God told you to kill me, would you do it? His answer is, what would make it wrong if I do kill you? And my answer is, well, it isn't good for me that you kill me. And he said, but it might be good for me to kill you.
Christianity.
I might want your stuff. Do I?
It's good for Christianity if I kill you.
All right, so do y'all understand? So when you hear the question, break it down into the first 4 categories. Morality, meaning, I can't even think of myself, the 4 headings. And we understand quickly this is morality. And so Greg's question is, why is it wrong to kill you? Forget whether or not God would. He wouldn't tell me. But if he did, what makes that wrong for you? It's only wrong based on God. It's killing you is only wrong because God has created you in his image and you have intrinsic value, not based on what you can do or how pretty or good looking you are, based on you were created in the image of God. That is why you're valuable.
That's what keeps me from killing you.
Right.
That was wrong.
Right. Okay. So that's question number one. There's lots of good ones. Here's a really good one. So when you hear it, I want you to break it down and then you can respond, whoever wants to. When I, as an atheist, am kind and charitable out of the kindness of my own heart, isn't my behavior more commendable than yours because you're obeying a God that tells you that you have to be kind? That's a really good question, but it really isn't. It sounds really, really intelligent, but it's really not. I'm an atheist. I'm being nice just because that's who I am. You're a Christian. God tells you you have to be nice, and that's the only reason you're nice. Aren't I actually more moral than you are? Because nobody's telling me to do it. What heading is it? What biblical text are you thinking right now? I went over it 1,000 times. Romans 2:14. The people that have never seen a Bible are demonstrating the Bible by their actions. In other words, you go to South Africa, they've never seen a Bible. They're not murdering each other for fun. They may for retaliation or for anger or for the stealing of geography or hunting land, but they're not going around as psychopaths killing everybody around them. They don't do that. Why? Why don't they do that?
So where do you think that you got that basic instinct towards goodness?
So you're asking me as an atheist.
I am.
I think my parents taught me this, not to kill people. I think my parents taught me this. Yeah, they taught me. That's why I don't kill people. Their parents did. Yeah.
Where it started, where did it start?
I'm going to say it started within my American culture when we came across the seas and our culture. We realized as an American culture it wasn't good to kill people. Yes, sir.
Where did they get their ideas? Because they wanted to pull away from the country that, the British country,
Yeah, we got it from England and Britain, right?
Okay, so they
Right.
come over here and they set a new set of rules.
Right.
Do you have any idea where they got their rules from?
No, I don't think we can know that.
It's written down.
Where is it written?
It is written where you can look and it says that they, in everything in the Declaration of Independence, they set the Bible beside it. And that's where they got their moralities, and this side of this country is to be founded according to the laws that were written in the Bible.
So you're referring to an old, antiquated book and telling me that's where we're getting right and wrong from.
I didn't say that they, I said, not I, but our ancestors that you just said that we based our morality from.
So where do you think they got it from? You're saying from the Bible. And what does your Bible say about morality, basically?
Where do you want to start?
Romans 2. We'll pretend like I don't know the Bible. What does Romans tell me about morality? Why do you keep quoting Romans to me? What does it
It
say?
says there is none righteous, not even one.
Yeah, that's where I would, yeah, because, right. So we go back to an infinite number of regressions. In other words, y'all kept making me go backwards to grandparents, great-grandparents, civilization, a transfer from another civilization. It had to stop somewhere, right? That's what you're going to. And there's no answer for that. On my end, I cannot intelligently answer that other than to say, we just all seem to know that murder's bad. And you say, exactly. And our Bible predicted that we would all know that. What does your Bible say about that? Oh, wait, you don't have one. What do you believe about it? There's no answer. All right, so here's another one. Who made God? If you think there's a God, who made God? I mean, where did he come from? But I'm not making a claim there's a God, so I don't have to explain God to you. I don't believe there is one. So wait, what am I dealing with?
Origin.
What am I dealing with? Okay, origin. Who made God? Okay, in your mind, tell yourself, what is the alternative explanation if there is no God? So you tell me, if there isn't a God, what? Evolution. Now, stay on track. We're dealing with origin. And I just told you we all came from evolution. But this argument started when I quizzed you on who made God.
Yeah, and
See what I mean?
I was like, okay, who made God? Well, that
Right.
made them the God.
Yeah, but we just thought it's all accidental. We all came from the Big Bang.
Can't get something out of nothing.
Well, somewhere there was somebody made some cells or something that got together to make a clump of something with bang.
I just think it was pond scum and lightning
Who
struck
made
it.
the pond scum?
Multiverse.
Who made something out of nothing?
Yeah, multi-universe. It came from another universe.
Where'd that
Did
come
somebody
from?
say something back here?
I just said you can't make something out of nothing.
Okay, that's where I'm going. You can't, because scientifically we can't prove God. We can't put him in a test tube and say, look, I mixed two colors in it, we got God. But scientifically, we can't take nothing and create anything. So turn the question back on me and say, okay, you don't believe in God, you believe in evolution. I also gave y'all an uncaused first cause, evolution. So you say, fine, I'll put my guard down, there is no God, but you tell me who created evolution. Who did the Big Bang, who did the, pond scum or whatever. What I'm saying is, as an atheist, I'm doing the same thing you are. I am telling you that we all came from an uncaused first cause. And you as a Christian are telling me, I agree, we all came from an uncaused first cause. But your uncaused first cause is God, and mine's an accident. So you tell me which one's more logical here. An intelligent being, isn't it? Isn't it more intelligent to think that an intelligent being created everything that an accident did? So what I'm saying is we don't have an unreasonable, illogical explanation for an uncaused first cause. I would say theirs is much more illogical. So who made God? That's an easy one.
Be scientific because science has to have we have to be able to study it,
Right. See it in a lab. You can't see either one in a lab. I told this guy one time over the internet, and who made God? And I said, well, who made the Big Bang? Well, it was accidental. Who made the pond scum? Who made the lightning? Who made the water? Who made the cells? Who started all of that? And he said, I don't know. I'm just not superstitious. And I said, oh, well, contraire. You are superstitious. Because he had just told me that it's weak and unintelligent to anything you can't explain it away with a God. You can't see it, so you call it a God. And I said, well, dude, neither one of us was there when all this began. However it began, nobody saw it. Nobody did.
So he's saying then that evolution and the Big Bang was all accidental. So he's trying
Yep.
to say, is he here accidentally?
Oh, yeah, that's origin. I mean, if you're an atheist, that means you have to explain the world. If I'm an atheist and there is no God, I still have to explain the trees and the ground and you and love and passion and anger. I still have to explain that stuff.
And what's his purpose for being here if he's accidentally?
He doesn't have one. He really doesn't have one. That's why there's a professor at Duke University that says things like telling his students there's no purpose in your life, and if that depresses you, they make Ritalin, so get over it. That's happening here, not Europe. That's the United States of America.
I think people that are atheists maybe really don't think through the awe and amazement that's in Job, because when it says, and I know they don't care about God's word, but were you there when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have
Right.
understanding. Who set its measurements? Who stretched the line? Who walked the depths of the sea? All of that in 38 and 39, that is amazing. Have you entered the springs of the sea, walked in the recesses of the deep? Have you seen the gates of death? All of those things. Entered the storehouses of snow. All of that stuff, it may be not talking about how did God get there, but just the enormity of everything, thinking that it just happened by, like you said, pond scum or whatever,
I'm not making fun. I mean, that's literally the answer. Pond scum
I
is
mean,
part of
but
the answer.
this person would have to eventually say, that's what I believe, that we came from pond scum, or it just.
They will.
came.
Exactly.
Well, in that same.
But it's an
belief
uncaused
in
first cause.
something,
Right.
So that takes more faith to believe we came from
Yeah.
nothing than to believe that there's a great designer that designed us something.
Yep. And there's a book that says that, and I don't have enough faith to be an atheist. Yeah.
Even Ephesians 1:4.
And Job asked that. I mean, who tells the oceans where to stop? And I know, well, scientifically, there are laws that keep, right, I know, gravity and all, but where did that come about? All right, so, doesn't the inherent subjectivity of morality prove that God does not exist? Those are all big, intelligent words, but they mean very simple things. Doesn't the inherent, what does that mean?
Got it somewhere else.
Inherent, no, inherent.
What has happened
Inherited kind of inherit, but right. Inherit though in this sense means what is naturally within you, which is why it goes on for years and years. So doesn't the inherent subjectivity of morality prove that God exists? Now what did I just say? What are we dealing with first of all? Which of the four? Morality. What did I just ask you? What is inherent? That is by nature subjectivity of morality. I just asked you a question making an assumption that isn't actually true. I just said morality is subjective. Which means there is no absolute right and wrong anywhere. What I just told you was, doesn't the fact that there are no absolutes disprove God? That's what I just said in a fancy way. What is your answer going to be? I mean, I'm asking you the question, and you're already beat if you don't catch how I asked you the question.
You say there's no absolutes, I say there is. I mean, you're saying there's no absolutes.
Yeah, I think it's defined by every culture.
Okay, so
Is that
your
absolute?
absolutes are probably different.
What did you say?
That's an absolute statement.
What is it?
There are no absolutes. That's an absolute
Is that absolutely true?
I just told you as an atheist, there are no absolutes. And two of y'all called it and said, is that an absolute statement? It is an absolute statement. So if I follow my logic, the only absolute statement that is true is the one that I just made, that nothing else is absolute. But there are absolutes. If you stand in the road and a big rig comes down through there and you don't move and it runs you over, it's going to physically distort your body. That's an absolute. Like Robbie Zacharias says, if the light is red and you run it and you keep making a habit of it, eventually you're going to get in some trouble.
What makes
That's an
your
absolute.
absolutes different from mine? I mean, what I
Right.
say might be okay, you're gonna say it's not gonna be.
So my argument to me would be, I would rephrase the question back to you and say, are you telling me there are no absolutes? And then I would say, well, yeah, I'm telling you, there are no absolutes, and that disproves God. And then I would ask you something like Robbie Zacharias asked this kid at a college and said, if I brought a baby up here and killed it in front of you, would you think that was wrong? Is that absolutely wrong? In any culture, and you know what the kid said? I can't say that it would be wrong. There's a college kid at an Ivy League school. And then, yeah. And then Robbie said, are you, so you're telling me I could kill him and it would make you feel, well, I would feel bad. I wouldn't like it. But I can't tell you that you're wrong for killing an innocent baby in front of me and these people on stage. But at least he's honest and logical. If he really doesn't believe in absolutes, then you can kill a baby. And we do it all the time.
Why do we have jails?
Right. So what I'm saying is that statement isn't logical. You can't follow that statement and live by that statement. You can't live by there are no absolutes. There's absolutes everywhere. You can't live by that. Yeah.
You were a child.
I'm sure that would be absolutely wrong.
Why?
I have no reason that that would be wrong other than I wouldn't like it. You know? But I can't say you're wrong. Okay, so there are absolutes, and you can't say there are no absolutes because that is an absolute statement. Are y'all following that? Okay. Let's find another one here. Okay, listen, when I ask a question, they're pretty loaded, so most of the words are pretty important. So listen to every word here and think about it. And first ask, what for category? Won't a good moral life get a person into heaven? I'm an atheist. Yeah, what am I dealing with first of all? Won't a good moral life get me into heaven? What am I dealing with?
Destiny.
Two things, but destiny and morality, but destiny. Won't living a good life let me go to heaven?
If you're an atheist, what heaven?
Yeah, that'd be number one. What's your idea of
Yeah,
heaven?
no,
But that's not
there's
even the
no
real
heaven.
issue. He used 3 words that he can't I use 3 words in that statement that I can't even explain without God.
What's good?
Good, moral, and life. I just asked you a question, and without God, I can't even use those words. Won't a good moral life get me into heaven? What does good mean? That's what I would ask you. What does good mean? What does moral mean? And why do you care, and why do you have a life? They're stealing from theists words like good and life and moral. They can't use those words. So make them back up and use different words. And there are no substitutes.
So are they saying that they believe there is a destiny in heaven?
I would say most atheists would say no, but we're preaching heaven, so they're saying we don't need morality to get, we don't need God to get to heaven.
My
You
friend
gotta have
that's an
it.
atheist doesn't care that there's not, he thinks you'll just disappear, and he's totally good with that. His wife thinks if you're nice, you'll probably be in heaven, but
Yeah,
he doesn't care. You just go
Probably not.
away.
but I'm using 3 words I can't explain. That's the point I want y'all to pick up on. I can't use those words. Here's another one. Now listen, it's really, really good. And think of historical figures. It doesn't matter what, okay, so we've argued for an hour and you're getting nowhere with me, and I just say, you know what? It doesn't matter what you believe as long as you're sincere. That is a very popular little phrase, and it sounds really, really good. And it's very inclusive. We don't like to be exclusive. Jesus is the only way to God. We don't like to say that because it's exclusive. Truth is exclusive, though. It doesn't matter what you believe as long as you're sincere. It's exactly what I'm thinking of. Did y'all hear what he said? She said.
Hitler?
Hitler was sincere about what he believed. And so, what are you going to ask him? Say that. It doesn't matter what you believe as long as you're sincere.
Hitler was sincere.
Hitler, yeah, he was pretty sincere, wasn't he? I guess based on my belief system, nothing that Hitler did was wrong. Now, what would you say to that?
You're racist next.
Yeah, I'm a racist. Yeah, I am.
Explain that to the Jewish nation.
Yeah, luckily I don't have any Jews in my family.
So what if a new Hitler rose up and was already?
Ooh, and left-handed.
Um.
Yeah, I don't think that would be good. All right, it wouldn't be good for my society. Society defines. Yeah.
So if I sincerely beat you to a pulp, it's okay.
Um,
I'm sincere.
I'm
Not in
sincere.
my culture. In my culture, the law would arrest you. I would call the police and you would be arrested.
On what grounds? What's right or wrong?
Yeah, I just gave you another one.
What is your basis of your life?
Yeah, what law are you appealing to?
Yeah.
I'm appealing to the local law, which is based on what? The Constitution, which is based on what?
The Bible.
The Bible. It is. You can't rewrite history. All your professors will try. You can't rewrite what Americans did. We base the Constitution on the Bible. They said it plainly. There's no doubt about it.
And you could also go with, like, the jihadists too, they sincerely.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. ISIS is very convinced. Seem to be very sincere. So sincerity means nothing in this argument, does it? Hitler was sincere. ISIS is sincere. Jihadists are sincere. What time is it? Have mercy. Okay. If there is a hell, how can a loving, and this is kind of repetitive, if there is a hell that you keep telling me about, how can a loving God send anybody to a place that bad? I was asked this once, and my mind went to one person in history immediately again, and I said, do you think anybody deserves hell? And you know what their answer was? I got a short list of people that I think deserve hell, even in my own family.
Even the whole family.
I was like, interesting. So, a loving God shouldn't send anybody to hell, but you've got people you'd send in hell. Yes, sir, Peter.
If we say about God, loving God, then if we know only that, we have poor knowledge.
Poor knowledge, yes.
Because God is perfect. And because it's perfect, it's right, it's just. and
Right. He's complete.
Many more, it's complete. And nothing is lucky. And you cannot judge loving God, sending people in the hell, because He operate on the perfect law.
Right.
We say God do miracle, but when God do miracle, He never break the law. We may don't know all the law, but God never break the law when He do miracle.
Right.
And the same, I come back. God is perfect. His love is perfect, but it's righteous, it's just, and
Yep. So God is not just loving. I mean, if He's only loving, then He's lopsided. Okay, so Peter's saying that God is complete in His attributes. He's loving, but He's also just. So break this down and think of us as the children of God, and think of your own family with this question: how can a loving God send anybody to hell? First of all, that's a legit question that's hard to answer. It is. I mean, we think of Hitler, yeah, he should be in hell. So, number one, the standard, everybody thinks there's people that deserve hell, like Hitler. So everybody believes there should be a hell. Our standard of who should go there might be a little bit different, might be a lot different.
Well, if he said he had family members that
Yeah.
everybody has their own list. Well,
Yeah.
Everybody would have a different set of standards, so who's gonna judge 500 billion
Right.
standards, you know? But God has his.
Well, here was my question, okay? Here's my thought on that. How can a loving God send people to hell? And this guy was a father like I was. So think of your own family and your children, and think of this statement. And think of what Peter said. God is not only loving, but God hates evil, and He's just. So apply this, and think about it for a minute, to your own family and your kids, and that kind of a thing. And what would in a very practical way, what would your response
I can say
be?
something more.
Yes.
God said, I put before you good and evil, life and death. Choose good, choose life.
Yep. It's Isaiah, isn't it? Isaiah, maybe?
Deuteronomy and
Yeah.
and many other places. It's not one place.
Choose life. Yes, Joshua again, choose life. Or if you don't choose good, then you're going to choose
And
evil.
the answer is easy. God gave the way to don't go to hell. And it's affordable for everyone. You have to choose.
And the overarching theme the whole time we're discussing this is God has not left Himself without a witness. God demonstrated that He's there based on two major fundamental beliefs. Things. What are they? They both start with a C.
Christ?
No. Forget Jesus for a minute.
Creation.
Creation. What's the other one? Conscience. Remember conscience with knowledge? We know we're sinful. We know something put this here. We know there's a creator. Okay? And during your whole discussions, even as atheists, you still look up and say, look, we're on the fifth part of this argument, but you still haven't explained away creation, because you can't. And you still haven't explained why you know what right and wrong is, because you can't. Okay? That's origin and morality. So how can a loving God send people to hell? Think of it in your own family. And turn it back on them. This is what I did. Like, do you have kids? He's like, well, yeah. Somebody broke into your house and killed your children or harmed them. What would you do? He said, I would defend them. God is just. You know what part of justice is? He defends the righteous. So you can't love everything. That's nonsense. This all-inclusive, we can just love everything and everybody and you can't love everything. I can't love what harms my children and love my children. Does that make sense?
All this generation thinks about is the love aspect. They do not take God as a whole at all. It's the love, 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 and not judge.
Yep. Well, that started back in y'all's 60s with y'all's free love and y'all's free
Y'all's.
everything. Free drugs, free acid, free marijuana, peace. So yeah, we're the children of the pot smoking hippies in the 60s. And grandchildren maybe. Yeah. So yeah, it is getting worse and worse, and you can't be all inclusive. I can't include everybody. I can't say I love my wife and my kids, and I also love the ones that want to kick my door down and kill them. It's nonsense, people. It isn't rational. So why does God send anybody to hell? Well, there's witnesses inside and outside. He has set before them good and bad, and they can make a decision, and they choose evil. And what is the part? Justice. I punish evil, I reward righteousness. Does that make sense? Right. It'd be a byproduct. My nature will not let me reward unrighteousness because I hate unrighteousness.
I don't think
Because
I've
it's
ever known,
bad for you.
I don't think I've ever known but 2 or 3 people that very sadly have whispered the thought that they don't think their loved one is maybe in heaven. Everybody is
Yeah.
like, if they're halfway decent, when
Yeah.
they're dead, they're definitely in a better place.
Yeah, they don't be
And
with
I
you.
think that's what everybody just about believes, that they really, when it comes down to it, to their loved one. And if you're a mass murderer, then people on television will say, well, they deserve the hottest hell, this for
Right.
them. And I
Right.
think everybody can be okay with that based on degrees of sin. But I think if people think that somebody has been pretty decent a time or two,
Yeah.
that when they're dead, it all works out in the end. And,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
No. I mean, nobody wants to think it. I don't want to think it. The person I'm named after, yeah, no. I don't know how you would even preach that funeral other than you could get very apologetical and start throwing this stuff at them.
We've seen many pastors that stay as far away from that as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can't,
Purposely, because they.
you can't lie.
They didn't know.
Yeah, you can't lie about it. Here's another one, and ask yourself, we'll be done here in a second. Ask yourself where this fits in. How can there be a God when there is so much evil and suffering in the world? Focus on the word suffering. This could fall under one of 2 categories. Meaning. This is meaningful. This is a meaningful question. In other words, if there's a God, then why is there suffering? That's a meaning question, isn't it? And they're angry, and they're asking you, basically, this is an obstacle to my belief in God. Life doesn't have enough meaning. And for some people, life is hard, so the meaning is bad. It isn't a good life for them. So how would you answer me that? How can there be a God when there's so much evil and suffering? We've already dealt with the first word evil, but you could say, how do you know what evil is if there isn't a God? That's a fun little conversation. Because when you say there's evil, then the opposite, you're assuming there's a good, right? You can't have evil without good. Y'all understand that?
Yeah.
You can't say, why is there so much evil, and then say, I don't believe in good. And when you say evil, not only are you assuming a good, you're preferring the good over the evil, right? So I've already used a word that I can't use, but I did. If there's a God, why is there so much evil and suffering in the world? This is a question about meaning. So in your mind, where are you going to go with this? What are you going to ask them concerning meaning? Very basic question. Come on, think. Okay, that's part of it. What do you consider to be evil? Cancer. Cancer is evil. Cancer kills people. I hate it. You say, well, yeah, okay, legit. I do too. Cancer's bad. Nobody likes cancer. But we're still not dealing with the core question here. They're troubled because a loved one has passed away from cancer. And now I'm telling you, I question that there's a God because my loved one passed away too early from cancer. Now remember, they don't believe in a God. And they're asking why life has meaning. Or where is the meaning? What is your question to them? I'll tell you what my question is. Why are you looking for meaning in life when there is no origin to your being? You're an accident. There's no meaning in your life.
So if they don't believe in the origin, then they shouldn't be believing in the destiny.
They can't.
Even though they think everybody says they're heaven, but there should be a destiny, so in between.
Morality and meaning, and you can't have it. Exactly. If there is no origin, I can't even logically look for a meaning in life. So I ask you again, how can there be a God when there's so much suffering in my life? It's a good question, but
Could you go scientific and say, so do you believe in what science has proven?
oh yeah, yes, you got some science, yeah.
Then what are you gonna do with Newton's law?
Remind me what that says.
For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah. So the action is cancer, and my reaction is I hate it.
There can't be any victories without some losses.
Good point.
Is it bad to I'm pretty.
Both sides. You gotta have both sides. Yeah, good.
I'm a very transparent person, and so I don't try to act like that I've got something together if I don't. But I can understand why a person would think, I'm not talking about somebody getting cancer here or some of the things that we deal with in the United States. I'm talking other countries where literally children are this big with their little
Yeah.
bones, and they're
Yeah.
starving, and mamas every day of their life watch them die.
Right.
And that's the way you live, and you just stay in the
Yeah.
filth.
It's
Okay,
awful.
that's what I don't understand. So, so many things about the Bible, I take it in. There's the other things, I'm going, God, where are you about this? So if
Right.
I'm doing this as a Christian, is it bad to let somebody know? Well, that's also, I've
Nope.
questioned that myself because
I do it all the
those are my
time.
questions.
No, be honest with them. If you struggle watching a poor kid in Africa starve to death, I struggle with that too. My question is, why do we struggle with that if there is no God? There is no struggle with that.
Because
They were born on a crappy continent.
Everybody all the time. Nobody
Right.
wants anybody to love to suffer.
Right.
But it happens, we don't know why. But, as far as an atheist, I can't go where I would normally go with that world. It was perfect.
Right.
Sin came in.
Well, we can eventually when we get in the Bible.
Yes.
We have an answer for it.
See, I go through the whole from Genesis,
Right.
all the way through with them. But I
But
know
why
they
did-
don't believe in that.
Right.
So.
But to get to your question, yes, I would admit, every time,
But
you know,
why didn't God put me on a crappy continent? Your
Don't-
Lord, not mine.
I have no idea.
That's my kind of deal.
The
I'm so
sovereign
blessed.
pleasure of His
I
will.
know that, and I just look at that and I'm going, I don't understand that.
But that sounds.
But that's a Christian apologetic that attempts to answer that. We're outside Christian apologetics. If me and you as two Christians are reconciling why babies starve to death and God, that is harder to reconcile than why do you even care that babies are starving? If there is no God, you should not care because their life has no meaning anyway, and suffering has no meaning.
When you say
It just
that
stinks.
pleasure to sovereign will to atheists, that makes
Yeah.
it not awful.
Right. But I'm saying that to another Christian. So inside the Christian camp, I can't explain it. Outside the Christian camp, why are babies in Africa starving? We're commanded to feed them. But as an atheist, I can't even care. Because there is no God. And they're just the outcome of reproduction. I mean, that's what Hitler and them believe. This is a mechanical process. Babies are produced, and there's no meaning in it. The strongest survive. Right. So, yeah, I understand. Yeah, I would be honest with them. I've said it. Yeah, I don't, there's sickness and there's cancer, and I don't understand it. And there's a Bible answer. We have sin, so we have sickness. But that doesn't help you when you have cancer. It doesn't help you to know that all cancer cells ultimately are a gene mutation that came from a broken DNA. That's the scientific part. That's verifiable. Our DNA is degenerating. We know that. So biblically that stands up. Still don't make you feel no better. Okay, my DNA is breaking down, so I'm going to be sicker than my parents maybe. Thanks a lot. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. I believe in DNA, but I don't believe in God. But I'm mad because I've got cancer. Well, without God, you can't be upset. Who are you going to be upset at? Right? Okay, are we done? One more question. It's 8 o'clock. Okay, hang on. This is a good one. You can go on thinking about it if you like. Do animals need God-given morality to understand how to care for their young, cooperate within a pack, or feel anguish at the loss of a companion? So are animals moral or amoral, which means no morality? And if they're amoral, and we believe they are, then why do we need God telling us what to do? Well, think about that one for a second. If I'm saying that animals have no morality in the sense that God did not tell them what was right and wrong like He did us, why do we need God telling us right and wrong if we could have just developed this like animals did, because that is their answer. Animals figured out what was good and bad, not the same as we have, and so did we. But what do animals live by? Have you anybody deer hunting here? Anybody hunt? Fish? Instinct. Animals are governed by instinct. I'm an atheist. Animals are governed by instinct. What is your answer?
How come they all have instinct?
Define instinct. What is an instinct? An inherent trait. How can I explain instinct? What'd you say? I don't know. I'm governed by instincts.
You cannot explain it without God.
You can't even explain instinct without God. Yes, sir.
If a cat kills a mouse, that's instinct. So if I kill you, is that instinct?
Well, I'm governed, as an atheist, technically no, with no origin, I'm governed by instinct. But I'm telling you as an atheist, I don't need God to tell me what's right and wrong. I'm governed by instinct. Animals are governed by instinct. They didn't need God to tell them that. I'm governed by instinct as well. But they're assuming a lot. They're assuming that an animal just magically evolved and has an instinct. They don't. They don't have that. So no, I don't think a cat feels bad when it kills a mouse. But I mean, what'd y'all eat for dinner? I ate chicken. Everybody killing something. I don't feel bad about it. I go to Zaxby's. Ain't no guilt. I'm keeping myself alive. That's an instinct. But then I would say, we're just all trying to keep ourselves alive. What would you say to that? Simple question, 3 letters. Why? Yeah, why? Why are you trying to keep yourself alive?
Do you lock your doors at night?
That's a good one. That's subjective, really. Why are y'all trying to keep yourself alive? Can't answer it, folks. There's no answer. Yes, sir.
I was watching a program last night, and a man was in Alaska, and he was out hunting meat for survival. He was looking for a moose. He found and came across a female moose, and he left it alone because that is what would produce the next bull moose.
Right.
For him to kill. The wolves had already, 6 of them in their pack, had already killed a bull moose earlier in the day. And because that's their method of survival.
Right.
And he had a choice, and he made it by leaving the female. He said it could have twins.
Yeah.
It could be 2 more, it could be 3 moose
Right.
there.
Instead of 0.
Instead of 0.
So he's a responsible hunter. Well, what I get from that is, if we're like the animals, which is what Hitler believed, then we can emulate the animal kingdom, which the biggest and the strongest and the fastest make it, and the rest of us don't. And if a wolf kills the moose, the wolf was faster. And we say, if I'm faster, then I'm just going to get your stuff. It doesn't work. And evolution depends on a society looking out for each other in order to have grown the way it did. They have to believe that a society had a self-preservation instinct. But if we're just like the animals, then it doesn't. What benefits me might not benefit you. We would not have survived. And they can't explain that. They can't explain our survival. Atheists can't explain reproduction. They can't explain anything. There's no... Why? Well, we just want to... Why? Preserve the species. Why? Well, I don't know. Never thought about it. We just want to preserve the species. Any other comments? Questions? Concerns? All right, let's pray. Lord, thank you for this time together. Thank you for the input, the conversation. Lord, I pray that you would continue to open our eyes and give us wisdom as we look at your word and read it, and help us to understand it and illuminate it so that it's so things are obvious. Maybe things we've never noticed before become so obvious we can't deny them. Help us to share our faith with those that do not share our beliefs. We ask you these things in Christ's name. Amen. Thank you, guys. I enjoyed it.